Salutations, everybody. Salutations. Hope you guys are having a crazy Tuesday. This is Amelia and Wonk and Manuel with Wubs and Wobs. Wubs and Wobs. That's like the song name. That's that dope beat. Amelia and Wonk. Crazy. We got a lot of different things to talk to you guys about. As always, we're still here, coronavirus free, thank God. Yeah, I love dope tracks if you haven't caught on. I love dope tracks. We're going to be talking about the coronavirus, what to do now that people are aware, Obamagate, Psy Ops, and hopefully if we have time, the human resonance. A lot of different things. Oh, snap, that's what I was supposed to do. I'm over here jamming out to music. I forgot to put our Patreon exclusive pin right there. I need to turn this off. Can't ever get anything done with dope tracks. I'll put the link for that in the description bar below because I think people should vibe out to that. Yeah, wow. Salutations, my friends. It's Tuesday, which means it's Instagram Live Crew Day. Billy Carson released his new platform, Unite the 99, and what I wanted to do was kind of simulcast. I wanted to broadcast over here on Instagram Live, figure out a way to broadcast over there on his new platform, and then if I was super cool, also simulcast on YouTube and Fedbook at the same time. But you got to give me some time for that. I'm still trying to make sure you guys don't hear my chickens in between, like, in between transmissions. So yeah, that's the type of stuff we're doing. Getting that music out of here, bro. It's too gnarly. Ugh. Ooh. You know how there's like dope tracks that are just like so good it ends up making you just like grimy. It makes you feel good. You feel it in your bones. That's how that made me feel. So I'll put the link for that in the description bar below. But I'd like to say salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning into this edition of Factions of Freedom. I'm your host, Noise Error, Freedom Faction, whichever one you prefer. And we have a lot of different things to go on and go over. So many different things happen in a single week, man. It's hard to get caught up on everything that's going on. Before I get started, a few quick updates for you guys. If you haven't checked out the interview we did with Stephanie Groot, a IV specialist and UV light therapist, you missed out. You literally would have heard us talking about how light can be used as a disinfectant means when it comes to viruses and things like COVID-19 and more. Now, for more esoteric and occult people that have been listening for quite some time, I got super giddy listening because, you know, we're talking about light literally being used to clean and clear the body. I mean, how much more badass does it get than that? The reason I wanted to have her on the show is because a couple weeks ago we posted about how Cedars-Sinai, the hospital, how information about UV light treatments got censored after Trump mentioned something like that. I wanted to have her on to talk about it. We made a post about it. It was a fantastic episode. So if you guys didn't check that out, I'll put the link for that as well in the description bar below because it was a fantastic interview. We're going to have her on again because she kind of mentioned how different types of light can be used for different types of effects. And I felt like that was super cool. So we're going to have her on to talk about that and more in the future. I mentioned it earlier, but Billy Carson created his new Unite the 99 platform. I'll put the link for that as well in the description bar below because like I said before, I do want to simulcast over there. And to be honest, I was looking at his provider who actually created like the platform and more. And one of the packages we could get with them, you know, it includes live streaming. It's got everything we're looking for, you know, topic, hashtags, subscriptions, mentions, friends, messaging, content library, events, unlimited groups, all kinds of different stuff, exposure to millions of users on the Apple and Google App Store. What I'm basically trying to talk to you guys about is not necessarily divesting from social media and divesting from Instagram and social media, but creating our own platform. This is something that's kind of been in my thought process for quite some time now. I've talked about it time and time again that I really do think that at a certain level, some of the higher up muckety mucks are allowing us to operate and using us as a model. The social engineers and technocrats are definitely using us as a standard and as a model to conduct certain types of things. So I don't know how long that'll be. I'm looking at different ways to take what we have already, the momentum that we have, and create something else separately. So seeing Billy Carson create Unite the 99 has had me thinking about that. So if you guys want to support these types of these types of projects, these types of operations, and these different types of things that we're doing, join our patreon.com/Freedom Faction exclusive membership program. And when you do, you make these types of things possible. I've been saying this. I'll say this. These are just updates, and then I'll get into the topics and things. I've been saying this basically since we started pushing for people to actually join our exclusive member program. I said that if we got 40, I would do live shows every single Friday. It doesn't really make sense to me. I don't think we're going to do that. I'm going to push for 100 exclusive members, and then whenever we start to hit maybe 40 or 50, that's whenever we'll start to launch the app. Right now, I think we're sitting at like maybe 35, hovering around, trying to hover around 40. The idea is this: we need more people in the exclusive membership program to kind of launch point everything else that we're doing. This is why you guys see us doing everything we can, I guess, to get funds, reform what we're doing, and improve our message. But we'll talk more about that in the future. But keep that in mind. What we're doing, obviously it works to some degree, and we're trying to figure out how to do it better. So that's what I got. Go ahead and get that out of there. Ooh. So let me just fly through some of the topics I have written down for you guys, some of the topics and questions that you guys asked me. Going over the coronavirus, the second wave, Bill Gates, HR 6666, contact tracing, why is the left okay with authoritarian laws, vaccines changing your DNA, and what to do now that people are aware. I was supposed to figure out how to fit Obamagate into all this as well. Information's coming out with his involvement with Operation Fast and Furious, where they were trafficking guns to Mexican drug cartels underneath his administration. The Mexican government, or the Mexican president, is actually asking for an investigation into Obama because of this. So I'll try to figure out how to word all that into everything that's going on. But now that we're basically past the other topics, and I'll get into this. Psy Ops, the very real issue of fellow human beings being brainwashed, people not thinking for themselves, celebrity influencers, clout chasers, that follower mindset, that whole stay woke phenomena that I told you guys people not loving or seeking the truth, the human resonance, the emerging new age paradigm shift, human consciousness, and the fear and love frequency. So if we have time, we'll get into the goods at the end of this. But let's start with the coronavirus, what people are more familiar with. We're way past the peak. CDC chief Robert Redfield already talked about that, like literally two or 3 weeks ago, I think. 2 or 3 weeks or so ago, saying that we're passing the peak. And now you hear different states trying to come up with different excuses to, well, extend the lockdown. Here's the problem. I have been anti-lockdown, anti-all this since it started. The virus itself is literally an infection of authoritarianism. You get me? People could give a shit less about the virus now, but because we already gave into things. You get me? Because we already gave into the fear. You have people putting the mask on, the gloves, the ball gag, and the handcuffs because you have them getting into this, right? Well, they don't so much want to be validated about the actual lethality of the virus. No. They want to be validated through their hysteria. You get me? The fear, the terror. They want to be validated that way. Not realizing that, well, the supply lines are breaking down. People aren't going back to work. People are collecting more money on unemployment than they would be working. People could give a shit less about the virus. That's the sad part. It's come out now too that a lot of these deaths are ending up being coded as COVID-19 so they can get that money. Doctors and nurses are being incentivized to literally kill patients, claim they're COVID, and get that money. That's why doctors and nurses are being furloughed, because they're not down to sit up over there and claim, oh, hey, this is COVID. They're not down to go along with the hoax. Just stick with the coronavirus updates. You're hearing them talk about the second wave. This is something that we talked about with you guys a couple of times as well. The second wave is only going to happen because they're going to start opening up things, letting us get back to normal, exposing us to people who are potentially already stricken with the virus, right? And because they have the virus, they're going to be exposed to other people, developing their own immunity to it. Like herd immunity is whenever they let all this stuff go, they expose us to the virus. People start developing either symptoms or become asymptomatic. It takes a couple months or so, and then we're past that. And I've been talking about this as well. It'll get worse during the winter time, and that's why we need to open up now, hurry up and get people exposed to it so that by the time winter does come, we can expect these types of things. But the second wave is going to come whenever, we start to open things up. But you're going to see that narrative come out there. Oh, there's more cases. Oh, it's spiking. Yes, it's going to freaking spike. People have to be exposed. If you lock us down the way that you did before, trying to sanitize and sterilize everything, you're going to lower and weaken our immune system. You start opening stuff up, we're going to start getting exposed to things. Just don't be a coward. Let's just go through with these things. Back to the coronavirus update, because I want to play. I want to fly through these topics as much as I can, and then play this quick clip for you guys about HR 6666, because it's giving them the legal authority to disappear people. The idea right now is for them to create this crisis with the Hegelian dialectic, create the crisis, offer the problem reaction solution. Here's the reaction. They're offering us the solution. Their solution is to disappear people. Oh, okay. You don't want to go along with this? Well, let's just try to disappear the sickness. You see, part of me personally thinks that one of the reasons why we're seeing Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, and all these other people and hearing this hardcore agenda push is for it to get so crazy that we have to come up with alternative narratives, different options. I talked about this with Stephanie Grutz on the episode about how what he is proposing seems so draconian and authoritarian that we're not seeing any other options. I told her that with her IV treatment, right, putting vitamin C, B12, and other immune boosting things inside of your body with a needle, that type of needle looks good to me. But Bill Gates' needle of a live virus inside of a vaccine, that looks deadly. What these people are offering to us is death science. We're not talking about life science. So what is Bill Gates doing? This man is all over the place. You've seen him become visibly joyful at the mentioning of the economy collapsing, massive death, how we need indemnification just in case there are people that die if they receive this vaccine shot. You get what I'm saying? I feel like because I've talked so much about Bill Gates and everything he's been involved in, I don't want to belabor too much of a point. A lot of my history is definitely spent talking smack about him and everything he's done. So I don't want to do that. I mean, shucks. It's going to get to a point. I swear to God, it's going to get to a point because this man is already working on geoengineering, chemtrails, and all kinds of other stuff. He's working on lab meat. It's going to get to a point to where these very same people who were calling for the lockdowns are going to be the very same climate change activists calling for chemtrails, saying that Bill Gates is trying to save us. So let me just play for you guys this clip, and then we'll come back. This is Greg Reese of Band Video talking about HR 6666.
The World Health Organization recommended forcibly removing family members from their homes and putting them in quarantine.
Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
Queen Elizabeth seemed to be echoing this idea to the UK.
It reminds me of the very first broadcast I made in 1940, helped by my sister. We as children spoke from here at Windsor to children who had been evacuated from their homes and sent away for their own safety. Today, once again, many will feel a painful sense of separation from their loved ones. But now as then, we know deep down that it is the right thing to do.
Bill Gates has been pushing the idea of tracking people with digital tattoos, and Microsoft was recently granted patent number 060606 for a cryptocurrency surveillance system connected to the human body. Now enter H.R. 6666 to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19 and related activities such as contact tracing through mobile health units and, as necessary, at individuals' residences and for other purposes. On May 1st of 2020, Illinois Congressman Bobby Rush introduced H.R. 6666. This act is essentially setting up a nationwide contact tracing and quarantine program run by Big Pharma. Section 2, COVID-19 testing and contact tracing using mobile health units, will allow Bill Gates loyalist Alex Azar and the CDC to fund eligible entities to conduct tests, trace and monitor the contacts of infected individuals, and to support the quarantine of these contacts via mobile health units. Who are the eligible entities qualified to receive this funding? Health centers, nonprofit organizations, high schools, and anyone else that Alex Azar deems eligible. The amount of taxpayer dollars being asked for to trace the public and force quarantines is $100 billion for 2020 alone, and whatever may be necessary as long as the emergency period continues. For Infowars.com, this is Greg Reese.
So you guys tell me, what do you think about this world that we're creating? Where they're legally telling you that, hey, we're going to come get you. If you have this suspected virus, you're going to get it. You have this suspected virus. We're creating the framework for us to rob you of your rights, rob you of your individuality, rob you of your freedoms. What do you guys think about this world that we're creating? One of the questions we got asked is, hey, how far off do you think we are from having all of our rights taken? Yet here we are talking about this bill right here. The idea that these people can literally take from you your rights. This is what the hell I've been talking about. This is what the frick I've been worrying about since the entirety of this started. The whole self-isolation, the self-quarantining. Well, here we are at the point to where it's forced quarantining. H.R. 666. Let me read this real quick. This is an article by Cheryl K. Chumley over there at Washington Times. I debated putting it up before I came on, but it says a House resolution from Illinois Democrat Representative Bobby Rush that would put big government in charge of tracking citizens' movements as they relate to COVID-19 mitigation efforts, even sending health bureaucrats to, quote, individuals' residences as necessary, as the legislation states, has an appropriate number, 6666. Now, before I continue on, people have to understand, bro, like the United Nations talking about forcibly removing people from their homes in a safe and dignified way. Like, this is politically correct population control is the easiest way that I can describe it. This is authoritarianism. This is the technocracy. This is the scientific dictatorship. You get me? This is them saying that, oh, well, in the name of public safety, we have to disappear you. Don't you know? See, by existing right now, you are a threat to the rest of us. So we're going to go ahead and just do you the favor of disappearing your ass. Do you understand the dangerous approach, the slippery slope that we're on right now? Let me continue on reading this article right here. It says, mark of the beast for a beastly, monstrously unconstitutional bill. After all, what's more devilishly un-American than launching one of the most massive government surveillance programs of private citizens in U.S. history, all under the guise of protecting people from the coronavirus? That's the COVID-19 testing, reaching and contacting everyone act, the TRACE Act, and its $100 billion grant giveaway glory. According to H.R. 666's text, the taxpayers' funds will be used to, quote, trace and monitor the contacts of infected individuals and to support the quarantine of such contacts through mobile health units and, as necessary, at the citizens' residences. Stop right there. You guys remember a couple of months ago, whenever we were posting some of the outrageous and like mind-boggling footage that was coming out of China, where we were literally seeing them go inside of people's houses and snatch them, just taking them, saying, get your ass out of here. We were seeing that. We posted about it. People in white suits going up to apartments saying, hey, look, we hear about you potentially having COVID-19. You're going to have to come with us. People saying, what the hell is this? No way I'm going to come with you. That's cool. You're entitled to that. And then they forcibly remove them. I remember talking about this as it occurred, saying, when is this going to come here to America? I said it. That could only happen in a communistic country. There's no way that that could happen here. Shucks, Americans are too rebellious. Well, here, let me continue on reading this article. Let me tell you how we're not rebellious and how a lot of us have submitted to this authoritarian technocratic tiptoe takeover. Continuing on, it says that means that government comes to your home, taps on your door, and demands that you take a COVID test. And if you test positive, that means the government makes sure that you stay at home. How? Good question. Good unanswered question. Good chillingly unclear question. The top dogs at the Health and Human Services and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are in control of dispersing the $100 billion to local governments to carry out the COVID-19 testing. More specifically, to quote, hire, train, compensate, and pay expenses to individuals to staff mobile health units and to knock on citizens' doors and to enforce compliance with quarantining. It's all for the good of the country, don't you know? I think we actually have that quick clip. I think we might actually have, I have a 7-minute long clip, 2-minute long clip, and then a 25-second long clip, one of which where the 25-second long clip is where Hillary Clinton's like, oh, wait, hey, guys, wait. Yes, I know millions of people are without a job. Yes, I know thousands and thousands of people are dying. Yes, but we should not let this crisis go to waste. No, we should not let this crisis go to waste. If anything, we should use this crisis to radically transform America. We should fundamentally transform it. Here, you don't believe me? Let me play it for you.
And then it needs to be part of a much larger system that eventually and quickly, I hope, gets us to universal health care. So I can only say amen to everything you're saying, but also to, again, enlist people that this would be a terrible crisis to waste, as the old saying goes.
There it is. And if you guys didn't check it, Joe Biden's sleeping during that interview. He's just, I'll play it for you again in a second, but you see him, he's just like sleeping. Open up his eyes real quick. Goes to sleep. Good. You know, he's just letting Hillary speak. I'll play it for you one more time, and then I'll play for you a quick clip of them talking about contact tracing. But here you go. See Joe Biden sleeping.
And then it needs to be part of a much larger system that eventually and quickly, I hope, gets us to universal health care. So I can only say amen to everything you're saying, but also to, again, enlist people that this would be a terrible crisis to waste, as the old saying goes.
See, there's Sleepy Joe Biden. Sleepy Joe Biden. I tried to tell you. But here, let me play for you guys real quick another clip. I forget who the individual is, who the gentleman is, but they're talking again about the concept of contact tracing and basically just disappearing people because, you know, COVID-19, why the hell not?
But based on my own reporting, you had some concerns about whether the feds would seize these tests when you brought them over from South Korea. Is that true? Were you concerned that the federal government would try to take those tests out of your hands?
Oh,
was a little bit of a concern about trying to get these things in. It
shucks.
was a very complicated process.
Oh, shucks. Sorry about that, guys. That was me engaging in fake news right there. That was my bad. That was I think that was one of the National Guards talking about protecting the coronavirus tests from the feds. That was my bad. That was my bad. I engaged in fake news right there. That was the National Guard of a state talking about the feds swooping in like they did last time and taking the tests. So I feel like that's very sketchy. More Civil War stuff going on with the government. But here, let me play for you instead a little bit of this clip. It's of the Clinton Global Initiative University 2020, where they talked about contact tracing, where Bill Clinton has New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and California Governor Gavin Newsom. He has both of them on to basically talk about creating the contact tracing army, hiring thousands upon thousands of different people to carry out this type of work, creating the infrastructure for this authoritarianism that I keep talking about. Here, let me play for you guys this clip. I won't play it in its entirety because it's 7 minutes long, but I'll play it for you, and then we'll continue on. This comes from their own private network, you have to understand.
We need tracing agents into hundreds and hundreds of people, right? You take the test and then you trace back all the contacts. It's never been done on this scale before.
It's never been done.
This is an army of
on this scale before.
Basically investigators. We will do that the best we can with these with this 7-state consortium, but it could have been done from the federal government on a much tighter, more efficient basis.
You know, I agree with you on this. This contact tracing is very important, and it could enable our entire country for the first time to have a real public health system, a real public health corps. And I've thought about it in a lot of different ways. Could we make this a part of AmeriCorps and encourage people to come and do this work and earn some credits to go to college, for example? Is there some other way we could do it? But I know that my friend, whom you know well, Paul Farmer, is heading up a program for Massachusetts now to try to get a state contact tracing corps. Do you think maybe you could get the governors to ask the Congress to fund that as a part of all this money they're giving you? Or maybe it's legal now to spend some of the money, but we need a national corps of healthy people who are properly trained to go out and do this contact tracing.
There you have it. Let me know if you guys can still hear me, because I'm going to continue. I just wanted to see if I can mute that video and then have that play in the background as I pull up a few more articles to talk about this, because this is, to be honest, quite terrifying. So go ahead and send me like a whole bunch of hearts or a bunch of thumbs up and let me know if you guys can hear us. But you can find that 7-minute long video of the Clinton Global Initiative University 2020, nice, on the internet. Go ahead and look for it. You might be able to find it. And the reason I wanted to stop it there is because I want to do a little bit more information, a little bit more digging on Chelsea Clinton's involvement with the contact tracing group funded by Bill Gates and George Soros. So give me some time. What we are seeing right now is the creation of just that, the technocracy, the scientific dictatorship, like Bill Clinton said, the public health core. And I've been talking about this. I spoke about it as well with Dr. Stephanie Groots whenever we had her on the show. What we're seeing with the COVID-19 is the overwhelming, it's cloud and pivot is what they say. It's where they overwhelm the existing system and then they decide to institute something new. I think that's what we're seeing with COVID-19. They're using this virus as the excuse to restructure everything around it. You've had Eric Holder talk about restructuring the voting system. Hillary Clinton coming out talking about restructuring all this different type of stuff. Everybody's talking about restructuring, change. The easiest way for me to summarize everything that we're going through right now is the socioeconomic and the socio-political reformation. So I'm going to go more into depth about contact tracing, HR 666, and more in this week's episode, because I feel like I've spent a decent amount of time rambling on this, and we have so much more to talk about. But what I want to do to kind of shift gears, because we will still be talking somewhat about health and more, is a couple years ago, I don't have a clip for you guys, but a couple years ago, we reported on Jianku. He is a Chinese geneticist who remarkably made 3 different babies that were genetically modified. They were resistant to AIDS, HIV, and more. The reason I want to bring this up before talking about vaccines changing your DNA is because you have to understand, guys, ladies and gentlemen, like, we are literally in 2020. So clones, they're real. When I tell you, hell yeah, I believe in reptilians, they're real. When I tell you I believe in aliens, they're real. Interdimensionals, they're real. Spirits, they're real. There's a lot of different things going on. So talking about genetically modified babies, transhumanist things, that should not be far-fetched. People are freaking out about this virus because inherently they understand that what Bill Gates is offering is to change your genetic structure. One of the things I've been freaking out about, and I talked about it whenever we first started covering this, what the hell can they even do with this with a cold? There's nothing they can really do. Why should we worry about this? The only way they can fix this is if they make us genetically resistant to catching colds. You get with this, you get the train of thought I'm trying to set up here for you. What these people are trying to do is get us to a point to where it's okay for us to say, yeah, hell yeah, why not change my genetics? Why not make me resistant to AIDS? Why not make me resistant to catching the cold? Well, why not make me resistant to nicotine? You see how it gets to these different types of things to where it's just like slicing off different parts of the whole, starting with something simple, starting with something like, oh, well, how would you like to not ever catch the cold again? How cool would that be, huh? Well, shucks, those pesky cigarettes, don't you want to get rid of those? You know, how far off are you from having your conscience eroded? You see, already they have classified dissidents, opposition, resistance, being a fighter, right? Not being a punk or a chump or a wimp. They classify question of authority. They literally have a thing for this. It's called opposition defiant disorder. How long until it gets to a point where they have a vaccine for that? You get me? It's where they have a vaccine for your opposition, a vaccine for your aggression. You get me? That's why I trip out. But it starts with simple things like this. Coronavirus, 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 coronavirus. Get yourself a vaccine. That way you're unable to, you're immune to the coronavirus. Thanks, Billy Gates. Thanks, World Health Organization. Shucks, I don't ever want to be sick again. So glad I got you and Big Brother to look out for me. Huh? Well, it's like, heck yeah, we got you, homie. Just go ahead and give me your DNA. You don't need that. They sit up over here and they store it. They say, wow, what a dumb sucker. Let's go ahead and just sterilize him. This dumb jabroni decided to give us his DNA. Fucking idiot. Let's just go ahead and advance again with the plan. You see how this works? So, I didn't have the article pulled up here for you guys where I can talk about Jianku creating the HIV and AIDS resistant babies. But I think what people should know about is CRISPR-Cas9. Go ahead and look that up for you. It's basically a toolkit that allows for scientists, bioengineers, genetic modifiers, these type of people to edit DNA. And we're in those days. And it starts with just being able to inject you with a vaccine. People don't understand like how far off into the future we are. You get me? When you have them talking, when you have them openly admitting about putting in nanotechnology inside of vaccines, you're talking about biotechnology, my friends. You get me? This isn't something, it's not a simple flu shot. And on the other side too, this is how you know that it's like a binary weapon type deal. Nobody's really talking about the viruses being man-made. You get me? And that was what I wanted to mention beforehand when I was talking about the second wave and herd immunity. Yeah, right now you have people who are already exposed to the natural virus. You get these people over here like Johnson & Johnson, GlaxoSmithKline, Merck, Pfizer, and all these other companies making their own variations of the virus and then forcibly injecting that into people who are already potentially exposed. You're going to start having mutations that go out there and then infect other frickin' people. You get me? So again, there's a lot of different factors that people aren't talking about or thinking about because, well, Bill Gates and Donald Trump ain't telling me, and Anthony Fauci, well, he knows everything. They know everything, don't they? We just need to trust these people who are lying to us at every step. I don't understand why people are. I'm ranting. Let me get back to let me get back to CRISPR-Cas9 and continue on talking about this because people need to know that your genes can be edited. And these people are looking for a reason to do so. This is why I'm worrying about people like Tom Hanks and all these other people giving out their blood, giving out their antibodies because people are very, I'm not knowledgeable on genetics and biology and stuff like this. I like to have these people on to explain this type of stuff to me. But when I'm telling you that people don't want to talk about this stuff, they don't want to go out there, they don't want to think about these things because it terrifies them. Well, that's just the fear talking. But here, let me read a little bit of this. It comes from Wikipedia, but it's just to give you guys a general understanding as to what CRISPR-Cas9 is. CRISPR stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced short palindromic repeats. It's a family of DNA sequences found in the genomes of prokaryotic organisms such as bacteria and archaea. These sequences are derived from DNA fragments of bacteriophages that had previously infected the prokaryote. Cas9, or CRISPR-associated protein 9, is an enzyme that uses CRISPR sequences as a guide to recognize and cleave specific strands of DNA that are complementary to the CRISPR sequence. Cas9 enzymes together with CRISPR sequences form the basis of a technology known as the CRISPR-Cas9 that can be used to edit genes within organisms. Got to click the plus right here. It says this editing process has a wide variety of applications, including basic biological research, development of biotechnology products, and treatment of diseases. Now, a couple weeks ago, somebody wanted me to talk about gain of functions and how that pertains to coronavirus and more. Gain of function is essentially government-funded research to where you basically jack this virus up, give it the ability to have a snowball-like effect, to adapt more mutations and become more and more deadly and potent. That's the easiest way for me to summarize what gain of function is. When I'm talking about CRISPR-Cas9, it's them literally going into your DNA and saying, we're going to cut this out, boop, and then just stitch it back up. So when I'm talking about vaccines changing your DNA, genetic modification, all this other stuff, we are in those days with coronavirus, with COVID-19. When these people talk about it being with us for years, this is the type of stuff they're talking about. I don't want to talk about, I'll say this and move on to the next cluster of topics. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. There are just people around me that there's 7 different companies, some of them relatively funded by Bill Gates. There are different labs around me working on the manufacturing of vaccines, testing kits, and more. And I just know some of these people that are in there. That's all. I don't know. I'm not saying these are people who are whistleblowers, but they see what we're doing and we're having conversations, and so I have to figure out a way to get this information out there to the public. It's just very crazy, everything that's going on. But the next question is this: what to do now that people are awake? What to do now that people are awake? I hope that, this is a question I'll ask to our audience members, you, when we have the next segment, because it's always very interesting to see what people think, what to do now that people are aware. People are aware of Bill Gates. I think people are beginning to see that the virus itself is a hoax and that this is a hardcore, that real people die in false flags. I want to say that real people have died during this whole experience, but I think people are beginning to wake up to the fact that this was unnecessary, and so they're recognizing that this was an authoritarian power grab. They're seeing that their drugs, their food, and more, their resources come from China. There's a lot of different things happening right now, so I think that people are becoming aware. What to do with this momentum? I feel like we need to figure out how to not obviously continue it, but we have to figure out a way to redirect it for our own purpose. And the reason I say that ties more so into what I wanted to explain later on towards the end of this transmission, that they need the human resonance and the human free will in order to carry out certain things. And I've talked about how we're going through a tremendous time of awakening, a huge period of awakening, how we're using their tools of enslavement as tools of enlightenment, and how when we're supposed to go through this paradigm shift, we're supposed to create whole new systems, but these people are giving us systems to evolve through, to manipulate the outcome. I hope that makes sense. And so in order for us to not fully go along with this manipulated outcome, we need to create our own systems so that we can kind of control our own trajectory. I hope to God that made sense. I think the easiest way for me to explain this is, again, with what I was saying with Billy Carson creating the Unite the 99 platform, where we're no longer primarily operating on Instagram, Fedbook, Twitter, YouTube, and more. Whenever you have things like Brighteon, BitChute, DTube, Gab, Minds, Hilero, Halanis, Vero, and again, Unite the 99, we have all these different types of things, these platforms that we should be using to create our own network. The same way that you guys see me broadcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and more, we should be creating our own economy, our own network, our own system, where not our own echo chamber, we have to have our own hub that we operate out of. But because people are thinking, oh, fuck, man, this is all bullshit, bro. Like, oh, no, dude, it's cool. I like my cat memes. Because people aren't thinking like this, like in a combative nature or like a strategic nature. People are just going along to get along. And when I tell you that at a certain level, people, the higher ups, the muckety mucks, the technocrats, the social engineers, at a certain level, they're allowing me to operate. I'm trying to talk to you guys about this. I don't know who's up there. I don't know who the hell's up there. And I don't know if Jack Dorsey or Zuckerbot or anybody's up there. I don't know. You get me? But the thing is I don't want to operate primarily and have to rely upon our enemies in order to recruit other people, in order to talk to other people. And so that's why we got to start thinking about these things. So what to do now that people are aware? Divest from mainstream social media. I remember this idea became heavy in my mind when we had Kerry Wedler of the Anti-Media on a couple years ago, after the Free Thought Project and the Anti-Media got removed from Fedbook. I remember saying, shucks, Kerry, do you think we're going to get to a point to where we need alternative social media? And here we are. With the censorship, the fact checkers, the fake news, the misinformation, the trolls, the bots, and the more, yes, we're going to need alternative social media. And it's going to take moments like this for people to really recognize, hey, look, you shouldn't rely solely on someone like myself to go out there and go do the research. You shouldn't rely solely on Instagram to keep me here to do this type of stuff. At a certain level, people need to start thinking for themselves and doing the work, which leads me to my next thing. Psy Ops. Psy Ops. The thing for real though, somebody said, oh, talk about Psy Ops like yours. And that was the question. It was like, oh, talk about Psy Ops like yours, bro. And I'm like, word, I see you, you shit talking son of a bitch, you. I see you. I will talk about Psy Ops because you're damn right. What we do here, it is an operation against psychology. They're promoting fear, they're promoting cowardice, they're promoting automation, they're promoting go along to get along. We're sitting up over here saying, hey, you stupid bastard, are you thinking for yourself yet? Do you see what's going on? Yeah, you see me over here in a bro tank, heavy chilling. I just got done like cranking out 12 miles. You get what I'm saying? I'm a real person over here talking to you. And it's going to take thousands on thousands and probably millions of dollars to create somebody out there that can mimic what I'm doing. So you're goddamn right. Sorry, Lord. Gosh darn right that we're a psyop. We're sitting over here trying to tell people how to think for themselves, creating all this different type of, this whole freaking network and infrastructure to make people aware of things. Somebody's silly Manichi's asking, how's my chickens? You give me a second, I'll talk about my chickens. Freaking psyop. I'll talk about my chickens. You give me a second. People don't understand. It's that fear that's got them believing in this. Oh, some random black dude can't get up over here and do these types of things. A random black dude like me can't get over here, talk this type of stuff, create an infrastructure to make people aware. There's no way that somebody could care enough. No, they've got to be a psyop. They've got to be with the government. They've got to be a troll. They've got to be an agent. They've got to be all these different types of things. That is obviously something that has been with us since like our inception, and that's obviously why these days I'm down to talk about it, because people need to know these things. People need to understand that you have people out there. That's why I have celebrity influencers and clout chasers and that follower mindset. I have that like as a subtopic to talk about. People have to understand that there are for real people out there who are going along with the varying agendas that you see me exposing. I wouldn't get up here and try to like habituate you guys to talk about these things, to have like a routine and weekly discussion about what the hell is going on. You can't do that. You get what I'm saying? Precisely, it's fatalism. You have people who have already lost because they don't want to be winners. You've got people who think, well, this is a psyop because it challenges my thought process. This is a psyop because it forces me to think. This is a psyop because I don't agree with these things. Well, it doesn't matter how you feel, you see. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter how you feel. Sometimes these things just are. And that's why I get very proud of what we've created, because regardless of how you feel, obviously it's working to some degree. And that's why I say, to some degree, the technocrats, the social engineers, they're allowing us to operate. They let us do these things to say, hey, how is this a model? How does this guy do these things? You go ahead and let him do it. We need to see if anybody else is going to copy him and how this projects out into the future. But because people don't care, they say, oh, no, Instagram had to hire EJ just to get him up over here to waste his life and do this. Yeah, for sure. I got hired to sit up over here and waste my time with people who are undeserving and ungrateful. But you get what I'm saying. Let me talk about Psy Ops, the very real issue of fellow human beings being brainwashed and more. You have to understand that there are pages out there, and I've talked about it on the show with guests. I've talked about it on the show with the audience members, by myself, and more, about why we're structured the way that we are. There are some people that are in this movement, in the conscious community, however you want to look at it, that are specifically here to cause problems, to cause drama, to profiteer off of crystal worship, to profiteer off of all these different types of things, bro. And we talk about this. But Psy Ops, if this were the case, I would only have like one chief thing to talk about. You get me? Like, I could only talk about flat earth, or I could only talk about, NASA, or I could only talk about like the Jews, or I could only talk about like racism, or I could only talk about like, Big Pharma, or I could only talk about one thing. That's how you recognize like when it's a psyop. I sit up over here and try to humanize things. I explain these things. The very real issue of fellow human beings being brainwashed is a real thing, but I think the better way to look at that is people not thinking for themselves. You get me? For me having to create like my own nomenclature, my own like vocabulary, my own like lexicon, and my own vernacular to explain these things, right? That's because I went out of my way to look these things up. I taught myself how to think differently. I went after what we were being lied to about. But because people have been, unfortunately, brainwashed, they go along to get along. They don't know how to research. They don't know discernment. They don't seek after the truth. They don't know that Snopes is run by some like old dude, and some old dude with a cat and some fat chick, or some old dude with old dude that like to blow money on hookers and have cats, and some fat chick. People don't understand all these different types of things. And I digress. I'm reflecting and getting sad about that fact. We had a guest on just last week that talked about that, about how I can't get mad at people for not knowing they're still within this system that we're supposed to be waking up. But it is a very real issue that people are brainwashed. And unfortunately, what I'm learning is that you have to leave people where they're at. And this is the truth, bro. Like, you'll recognize people that are alive. That's why you can have like the hottest chick ever, and if she's dead inside, right, she just looks unappealing. But you could have like, a rather homely and not so hot chick that has like the fire inside of her, and you're like, good Lord, like, why am I so attracted to her? Because that's how these things work, man. People are either brainwashed deeper into the delusion, or they seek after the truth. Like, that was, because I did a lot of things this weekend. I'm ranting. I'm going off over here, going off topics real quick. This weekend, I had a lot of crazy conversations. I went and saw my family. Went and did a lot of stuff. And one of the chief conversations, or the core of the conversations that we were having this past weekend, was the love of the truth, and how right now we're at a critical juncture, right, to where people have a chance to, take the mask off, reveal yourself, begin to love the truth, seek after these things, recognize that part of you has been lied to, seek after the truth, begin to work those muscles that have become dormant, and live. Or you have people that are unfortunately sinking deeper into the delusion. You have them succumbing to the lies, succumbing to the desperation, succumbing to the darkness, giving in. You either have people who are beginning to seek after the truth, learn to love it, even though it's rough, or you have people that like the sweet whispers of lies. They like those delusions. You see what I'm saying? They want to get into the hysteria. They want to get into the hype. They want to feel like they're doing their part by going along, but they don't realize that by going along, you're doing more harm than good. But you see, they don't want to hear that truth. It's easy to think that by doing whatever everybody else is doing, that you're doing the right thing. Otherwise, everybody else must not be doing it, right? They shouldn't do it if it were, they wouldn't do it if it were bad, would they? Would they? Well, that's the mindset these days, you see, because we have been programmed to such a point and to such a degree that even if people know the truth, they don't want the truth to wake them up from their lie, from their delusion. They're comfortable in their lie, you see, because they have their toilet paper, because they're following the guidelines. They're sheep, and they love it. They want to go along with it. It makes them comfortable, searching for the truth, trying to wake people up, learning about what's actually happening, fighting for a better tomorrow. That's too hard, you need to sit down, please. You're scaring us. We don't do that here. It's easier for people to go along. It's easier for people to not buck the system because it terrifies them. And I can't blame them, But it's this type of cowardice, and it's embracing this that has us in such fear that people don't even live anymore. They die very early. And it's just very, very sad to see on so many levels. And I think that's what a lot of you guys are feeling too, is part of you is recognizing that this is a massive thing, and that you're seeing people you love and care about go along with this, and they don't understand, or maybe they even do, that by doing this, they're doing more harm. Gosh, I think I need to move on with the time we have. Let me talk about this real quick. I think this is a better way for me to look at it. Celebrity influencers, clout chasers, that follower mindset. This past week, there was like a list of 200 different artists, celebrities, scientists, and all kinds of people that were just like, hell yeah, we don't need to go back to normal. This is a good sign. We need to continue the lockdowns. Well, that's easy for them to say because they never worked a day in their life. They get handed money by the government. But for people like ourselves that have to work for a living, hustle for every dollar we have, we can't continue these type of lockdowns. When you have scientists, celebrities, technocrats, bureaucrats, politicians, and more, all coming together to promote one thing, that tells you what you need to watch out for. You got to understand, these celebrities, these Hollywood actors, they're without a job right now. So of course they're going to have to take the gig. Of course they're going to have to read the script. Don't you want that Hollywood money, right? You want to be back on the screen, don't you? Well, here's the narrative. No, the end of civilization. Continue the lockdowns. So you see how they're creating a narrative, and how they already have their celebrity puppets already queued up, ready to go. You got Brad Pitt dressing up as Anthony Fauci. You've got Robert De Niro saying, I want to play Governor Cuomo because that's what a real president does. You've got Katy Perry getting involved. You've got Lady Gaga dressing up as Satan at the One World Together event. You've got all these different celebrity personalities saying, hey, this is a good thing. This is, this is where we need to go. Because I'm telling you, the same way that these celebrities are without a job right now, you're going to see them jump on the climate change narrative. You're going to see them say, well, we did this to protect Earth. We care about the humanity. Your lives mean shit. Our lives are everything. Stay at home and die. I want to ride my private jet. And if I see any of you regular tiny people, I'm going to report you. You see how that works? I'm going to report you for violating, my free space, my personal space. But it's creating that framework right now, that mindset of criminalizing human behavior. Don't hold hands, you know. You better not kiss. You better not be in confined spaces together. You get this? Somebody's saying remove this guy. Sorry about that, guys. You do not belong here. His name is very apropos, because I guess he doesn't. He just got out, though. He will be blocked, and if he comes back again, you guys let me know. These are the very interesting days we live in. And you got to understand, like Morpheus said in The Matrix, some people are not ready to be woken up from the Matrix. And that's okay. We have to let them go, because like Morpheus in The Matrix, we've got to build the Nebuchadnezzar. We've got to build the Zion. We've got to build the place for these refugees, for these people that are escaping the Matrix to come to. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about divesting from mainstream social media. That's what I mean by creating a system for this and more. You get me? It's not easy, bro. I think overnight, everything we've done has changed. And that's why you see us just reacting appropriately. And when I talked about this at the start of the year, why I freaked out about not necessarily being funded enough or funding appropriately to deal with all this bullshit is because of everything that we're going through right now. And if you think this year's hard, next year's going to be even harder. So if we don't start thinking down the line, maybe a couple moves ahead, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 moves ahead, instead of just reacting this is terrible. Maybe if we actually start planning, we wouldn't be so freaked out. But what do I know? It's not like I'm trying to do anything, right? But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by you guys and more, your guests, your questions. Everybody always asks, why don't I respond to questions and stuff? Why don't I, read what people are saying? It's because if I did that, I would never get anything done. I would never have an actual thought process. I would just be reacting to every single question. And maybe, who knows, in the future we might do that. But I don't want to waste your guys' time fumbling about trying to say stuff. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna be joined by you guys and more, the guests, talking about questions, this, that, and the third on the other side. I want to say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into this edition. If you guys want to support this operation, think about joining our Patreon.com exclusive membership program, patreon.com/Freedom Faction. I'll put the link for that video I played during this episode, as well as the article I went over and the interview with Dr. Stephanie Groots, where we went over IV therapy as well as UV light and more. That's what I got for you guys. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking about this thing and more. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. This is Freedom Faction over here on Factions of Freedom. And we'll be right back right after this.